My most memorable moment is zip lining. The thing about it was I was pretty fast and I had a really fun time.
My favorite part about Costa Rica was probably rappelling, because you have control of what you're doing. Then rather on a zip line, which was also exciting, you control what you're doing, so you have to learn to trust yourself. Thank you.
On day 4 of our adventure, we got to go see the Bribri tribe in their indigenous habitat, and it was very cool because it's compared to where we live and how we live, it's considered poverty to me. And 20 years ago the women are actually in charge. They started their organization, and they actually have their own language, which now they are learning to speak again. And this year will be the first year they have kids actually graduating from their high school. And they have multiple schools that kids come from Panama to there. And I think it was very neat for us to be able to go over there and watch the tribe.
Hi, I'm Taylor, and I am on the trip for Costa Rica 2010 in July 18th to the 25th. And the one thing that I learned is that Costa Rica and the people here are very nice and they're very welcoming.
On the trip I learned that the volcano erupted in 1969, and there was lava rocks that were like lava bombs that would harden in the air and hit the ground and explode and leave craters like 9 feet deep. Like they were found 3 miles away. And I thought the coolest part was when I walked out of my hotel room on the morning of day 7 and watching the volcano in crystal clear weather, and it erupted right before my eyes.
The most memorable things I did was the zip line. I was very nervous at first because it was my first time doing it, but I was so excited and so glad I did it when I got done.
I had a fear of heights, and I faced it by zip lining and rappelling, which made me stronger mentally and physically, all types of ways.
Guide Jorge. He did so much about this region just because he grew up and lived here. It amazed me how much he memorized and knew about the region, and how he knew a lot about the plants and the animals and everything. And one of the plants he talked about was the yucca plant, how it had like cyanide in it. It's taken from rats, just in the farms. They didn't eat them, which I know because of my amazing science teacher, which on the periodic table. Just gotta give credit where credit is due. So yeah, it's pretty good.
My favorite part was probably the canoe ride up there and making the chocolate, which was very interesting because they actually showed us how they did it by hand. The canoes we went up river with were actually hand carved out of tree trunks.
One of the things I've learned is that some of the plants in Costa Rica are kind of like an anesthetic. And if you chew them, your tongue will go numb. So you have to talk like this all the time until it wears off.
The thing I learned and took in the most was all the pineapples we learned about and how they grew, and we got the plants so
My most memorable experience there was at the hot springs because the water was just like heaven and it was awesome.
And one of the things that I learned while I was here was how much work it actually is to get from the milk from the cows to the cheese. And I was basically shocked that most of it here is still done by hand.
Hi, I'm Kelly. I just got back from the Costa Rica trip. And one of the things I learned was that the yucca plant, the root has cyanide in it as a defense mechanism against the rats, so they don't eat it. If they eat it, they die. One of my most memorable things was the zip lining. It was just so awesome to be able, you know you're going real fast, but it feels like you're going slow because you can look out and you can see everything, and it's just amazing.
I've learned so many things on this trip. It's too much to tell.
One of the most memorable things on this trip is going to have to be all the people I've met on this trip, because they're pretty freaking awesome people, I gotta admit.
And one more thing that I learned was about myself. I like black Costa Rican coffee.